Hey guys, Marcus Maloney here. Wanted to jump in because I had people ask questions about negotiations. Hey, how do I negotiate? When should I negotiate with a seller? What all does it take to negotiate? And what I want to give you is these four simple areas that you can negotiate around. A lot of people think that negotiations is just around price, and price is a big factor when negotiating, but that's not the only factor. So there are, other areas where you can negotiate, and price don't have to be the one. You can be firm on your price and still negotiate other factors when doing a wholesale transaction, or when you're just buying a new rental or fix and flip or something like that. So what I want to do is just give you, real briefly, the four areas where you can negotiate. So one, and this is when you're negotiating with sellers, one is you can negotiate around the earnest money deposit. So the earnest money deposit is the amount that you put down just to show the seller that you are truly vested in this deal and getting it done. So a lot of people you'll hear around the industry say, hey, traditionally, $1,000 is the standard earnest money deposit, but earnest money deposit is negotiable, just like the other three things that I'm gonna talk about. It's all negotiable. So um, one of the things that we use is when we're negotiating with a seller, we'll say, okay, well, our earnest money deposit is $1,000, and then if they kind of give us hack about our price that we want to purchase the property for, then we will always increase our earnest money deposit. Hey, okay, well, you know what? If you give it to us at this price, we'll show you that we're truly interested in the property. We'll put down a much larger earnest money deposit. And that earnest money deposit is refundable. So you're really negotiating on an item that you can always pull back or take away. So one is the earnest money deposit. And again, what is the earnest money deposit? Earnest money deposit is a good faith deposit showing that the seller, that the buyer, which is myself, is truly interested in buying a property. And this is held by a non it's held by a third party. It could be an attorney, it could be the title company, but it's held by a third party. So in essence, we can always offer more earnest money deposit to get a better price. So that's number one. Number two is the inspection period. So the inspection period, you can always negotiate the inspection period. So let me give you an example. I'm going to give you an example, one situation, but with the two that we already talked about. So if I'm going to buy a property and the seller want to sell it for $300,000, but we can really only offer about 250, then we'll tell them, hey, we'll bring in higher earnest money deposit to let you know that we're truly invested in the deal, and we'll have a shorter inspection period. So that inspection period allows you time to get in the property, to inspect the property, have your contractor come in, say this is how much the rehab is going to be, and also it gives you time to bring buyers in, so buyers can tell you, hey, this is a deal that I want, or this is a deal that I don't want, or you always want to make sure your buyers give you an offer. Hey, you know what? Okay, you can't buy it at this number. What number would you buy it at? And then you can always go back and extend your inspection period to see if you can get that property locked in at that price that your buyer can take it at, and then that way you can still make some money. So one is the earnest money deposit you can negotiate around. Two is the inspection period, and then three, the close of escrow date. So some sellers, they may want to close escrow early, and some sellers may say, hey, you know what? Well, we got a family member in there and they can't move until 2 or 3 months. You can negotiate around that. So how would you negotiate around that? So let's just say, if, for instance, the seller wants to sell quicker. Okay, I can definitely buy the property quicker. We can pay cash for it. However, this will be our offer amount, and we will definitely close on that date that you request. Now, if they say, all right, well, we need a longer close of escrow date, that's fine too. Okay, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I understand you want a longer close of escrow date. However, we have this money tied up for for a period of time, what we can do is we can offer you X because we have to deploy this capital in another area. So it's having that takeaway. It's a give and take. You're giving them something and you're taking away something. So you may take away $5,000, $10,000, or something like that to accommodate them. So remember, you're accommodating them in each one of these circumstances. And then number four, lastly, is the title company or the attorney. So as an investor, you always want to close with your title company because you get investor friendly rates. They know the process. They know they can get the deal done quicker. You have control of that deal. So one of the things that you can do is you can negotiate around that title company. You say, okay, well, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, um, we can definitely open up escrow at this title company. I can offer you, a few $1,000s more because I know that we'll be able to get title cost reduced because we do numerous transactions with this title company. However, if they want to go to a different title company, then you say, well, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, we prefer to work with our title company because we can get a reduced cost. But since you want to go to this other title company, we won't be able to get that reduced cost. So we have to pass that fee on to you since you chose that title company. So those are four areas where you can negotiate around with the seller besides price. And that's your earnest money deposit, that's your inspection period, that's the close of escrow date, and the title company. So those are four areas that you can negotiate around to get a lower price on the property. And we've done this quite often to where we've, received $5,000 off a purchase price, 10, sometimes even $20,000 off a purchase price due to the situation of the seller. So it's Marcus Maloney. If you want more information about this, you can always go to marcusemaloney.com. We just held a free webinar the other day. It was excellent. We had, quite a few people on there. If you missed that webinar, we will be having another coming up. But we do have our wholesale step-by-step class that's coming up. The link is going to be down in the show notes or in these notes. So you can always go. It's $149 for a day and a half. You can be in person or you can stream, and we'll be going over everything nuts to bolts from starting out as a real estate investor with wholesaling as your strategy. All right. See you guys later.